Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I'm working in my art journal, specifically Mission Inspiration, so get comfy and let's get crafty. So this is the September 2022 Mission Inspiration prompt, Fabricate It. Make a collage with fabric or papers, and then there is a rainbow of colors on the right hand side there to choose from or to adopt to use in your project. So I am starting with this piece of mixed media paper. It is about 8.5 inches tall by about 5.5 inches wide. And I am going to adhere this piece of pattern to my mixed media paper. I do not have a lot of fabric in my craft room. I don't sew. I have the ability and the technical know-how. I hate it. This pattern is actually from when I was a teenager, and it is the only piece of clothing that I ever made start to finish on my own, and that is when I decided I hated sewing. I have kept this in my possession, this pattern in my possession, since I was about 16 years old, 17 years old, and I knew I would never make it again. And I decided that instead of just hauling it around, like I've been hauling it around for, oh my gosh, 30 years, I'm going to use it, right? And because I don't have fabric, I'm using this pattern. Now, pattern paper is very, very thin, so I need to make sure that I have a nice wet layer of gel medium on my paper to lay this pattern paper down. I don't really want a ton of wrinkles, but I'm not going to worry too much about it if I do get them. So I'm going to set this down very lightly, and then I'm going to take my brush that is wet with gel medium over the top of it to smooth it out. Another thing I could have done was use an old gift card or credit card, and I had it on my desk, but I did not end up pulling it out because making sure that my gel medium on the bottom was wet and putting the paper down gently eliminated most of the wrinkles. And I am just going to put a couple of layers of this pattern paper down, this literal pattern paper, down on my art journal page. It is so funny because I say pattern paper all the time, but this time I literally mean a pattern paper. Yes, I find myself funny today. Sorry. It is a little bit of dad humor. Blame my father. When I saw the phrase fabricate it for the prompt for the month, I had a number of thoughts. To me, fabrication means creating something out of something already existing. Like, steel fabricators create something out of already formed steel, right? But also, fabrication means to lie or to be less than honest. You fabricate when you are telling lies about people. You fabricate when you're telling stories. And I kind of sort of went with both of those ideas a little bit. I'm not going to tell you ahead of time what I did. I want you to watch the whole thing. Although if you looked at the thumbnail, you know what I did. But now you know how I got there. But I'm going to kind of go with fabrication on a grand scale with encompassing lots of meanings, not just one meaning. So now that I have my pattern paper down, I am going to need to dry this with my heat tool. I could have left it to dry, but why? Because I have a heat gun. I can totally heat this or heat set this rather. Sorry. Words are hard. There we go. Got it out of the way. This video is mostly real time. The only thing I have sped up is the heat drying process. I have cut out the parts where I was fiddling around trying to decide what I was doing or cleaning up gel medium or paint off of my desktop. The rest of it is real time. So yeah, lucky you. I'm going to go ahead and trim the edges on this page off, and now I'm going to add my color. So I have gone into my drawer and pulled out my distress paints. I have an orange, a yellow, and a pink. I think it's ripe persimmon, squeezed lemonade, and ripe raspberry or something like that. Raspberry something, I don't know. It's a pink color. And I'm going to dry brush these paints onto my page, but I'm not going to squirt them on the page. I'm going to squirt them onto my craft mat here. And my orange one had a foam thingy in the lid, so I had to clean that all off, and that's how I got the orange paint on my craft mat, and it took me a good 2 or 3 minutes to get that out of there, which is why I cut that part out. Anyways, I now am adding some yellow and some pink to my craft mat. My paintbrush, like I said, is dry, so I'm going to dry brush this paint onto my art journal page. I don't have a rhyme or reason. I'm going horizontal, I'm going vertical. I'm not going diagonal because there's enough kind of scattywampus lines with that pattern paper that I felt like maybe the color blending in the background needed to be a little less crazy. I don't know. But to be fair, the artwork I make is kind of crazy on the other side anyway, so whatever. The pink was rather bright. I could have chosen a less vibrant shade of pink, I suppose, but it's okay. And I probably should have cleaned my brush off before I picked up the yellow or had started with the yellow. Kind of sort of gets lost. It gets lost because the pattern paper is kind of that brown. It gets lost because I've got orange and pink on my paintbrush. And it gets lost because I'm blending it over the top of orange and pink. So I am going to just squirt a little bit more right onto my paintbrush, get it just a little bit thicker, and hopefully it will be a little bit more yellow, not quite so blended. And then I had this bright idea that to maybe go skinny stripes up and down and skinny stripes across, kind of make it plaid. Don't love it. And even though I know that it's going to be covered up because of the collage I'm going to create, I don't love it. So I tried to undo it. It kind of sort of just blends everything together, but whatever. I don't hate it. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to heat set that paint, get that all dried back so we can start on the collage part of this art journal page. Like I said, I don't have much fabric in my craft room, so I went with paper collage. And I found this woman. So this is a free image on, I found it on, I just Googled, and I found a woman that was, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Common use. I can't remember the phrase. Creative Commons. There we go. It's a free to use image. And I Googled Stepford Wives because, Stepford Wives, it's kind of fake, right? We're going with this idea of fabrication meaning to create something out of already existing things or to tell a story or to tell a lie. Well, the Stepford Wives were all of those things all at the same time. So I Googled Stepford Wives and found this image. And then I found this piece of cyborg. And I kind of thought that fit perfectly with this idea of fabricated and fake. Because while the Stepford Wives, I think, were probably not supposed to be like completely cyborgy, to be fair, I've not seen it because it creeps me out. The idea that they were so intensely perfect and so the same, they had to be robotic, right? They had to be AI or cyborgs or something. I don't know. So I thought it kind of fit perfect. But also, how do you get your hair to stay like that if there's not a big robot head underneath your hair? I'm just saying. So this is my fabrication. I have taken both robotics and human being, quote, I'm air quoting here that you can see me, and I have fabricated this new version of the Stepford Wife, right? I do want to add some shadowing and some detailing. And the first thing I did was pull out a watercolor pencil. This is a dark gray watercolor pencil. And I'm not sure about it right here. I'm kind of thinking, maybe. So I hemmed and hawed for a little bit. And then I pulled out my orange Pitt pen. And it was, really good for the background, but it didn't do much for popping the image off the background. So if I was kind of trying to blend something in, it would be good, but I'm trying to make her pop a little bit more. So I went back to my watercolor pencil and I just did a couple of layers and thicker pencil lines around where I was trying to add the shading, and that worked for me. And you can't really see the pigment when I draw it on with the pencil, but once I activate it with water, it really stands out and it creates that nice shadow that does two things. It makes this image stand out, but also makes it part of the background. Now, I went back and forth about whether or not I wanted to add more to the background of this. Like, did I want to get a text stamp or some anything, some more black in the background because her dress is black, the cyborg face is kind of black. And in the end, I decided to leave it with the dress pattern or the jacket pattern showing through. It kind of adds that black. I don't know. I still feel like I probably could have put a little bit more on there. But once I get my quote or my thought process words also on there, I don't think it needs any more to the background. But you tell me, once you see it at the end, if you think that maybe it needed a little more in the background, let me know. Leave me a comment down below. I want to hear your feedback on it. And if you've watched the Stepford Wives, tell me if they freak you out, because I have never seen it, because it freaks me out. Even Nicole Kidman, wasn't she in the newer Stepford Wives? That kind of freaks me out. I don't know. I am adding shadow to the printed image as well. I mean, don't need to, but I like the idea of making it look like her dress is sitting on her body, that it's not one flat image. And that's all adding those shadows do. I'm adding a little bit of shadow around the robot head. I will add some shadowing to her hairline and her neckline right under her chin. I will add some shadowing into where her curls are kind of darker and deeper. And I will just kind of add some shadowing to the outline of where that robot / skin face meets. And I really like how that turned out. I feel like it made it look independent and uniform all at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but in my brain it does. When it comes out of my mouth, I question what I just said. But in my brain, making it stand out and blend in at the same time is completely logical. I don't know. And maybe it comes from being a stamper where you have, your outlined images, your black images, to kind of create the illusion or the border of the image. But anyway, I don't know. I just kind of liked how it looked with the shadowing, the shading, proper words. So I am just going to continue to go around her face and her hair and just add some dark pigment where I feel like the shadows will be most beneficial, kind of mimicking what's already in the image that I printed on my printer. And I just printed this on my inkjet printer. I did make sure that it was nice and dry before I added any wet medium to it. I didn't want it to smear. So for my quote or sentiment, whatever you want to call it, I've done a 2-part quote. I have these alphabet stickers that have been in my drawer for, I don't even know how long. Yeah, I don't know. I think I bought these when I first started art journaling because I don't really care for my handwriting. I get too much in a hurry and it gets really sloppy. So they've probably been in my drawer for 5 or 6 years. And when I reorganized my craft room this past summer, I remember they were in there. So when I needed something to kind of break up my quote block, I pulled out these stickers. So I'm starting at the bottom and working up. Just for space. I didn't want to start at the top and underestimate how much space I needed. Also, while it looks like I'm trying to get them down straight, I totally am not. The idea of that not being straight completely goes with my quote. I am lining them up kind of, sorta, or maybe mostly. But you'll notice they're sticky. And it is really hard to get them off this pokey tool and onto my page without them going crazy anyway. So even if I wanted them to be perfectly straight, I am clearly using the wrong tool to do it. And my opposable thumbs are not any better at this point in time. So the rest of my quote block I have printed on with my printer, same page of paper that I printed my images on. And so I'm, again, adding that from the bottom to the top just for spatial relations. I want to make sure that I've got a good amount of space in there because it is a 4-line quote block. And I'm going back to my stickers for the next word. So my quote is going to read, I may not be perfect, but at least I'm not fake, which is why I felt like making sure that those stickers, the ABCs, the alpha stickers, were not perfect was a good idea. Like not even trying to get them perfect was a good idea because that is the whole idea behind this. Yes, it's fabricated. The woman cyborg machine is fabricated. I took 2 things that were in existence and made them into a new thing. I fabricated, I made a collage. I don't have fabric, but I use paper collaging. But also this idea of being fake. It kind of has been bugging me the wrong way, or rubbing me rather the long way lately. The fakeness that is out there too often. I have teenagers and young adult girls, and this fakeness that is so invasive in their world through social media, and I just don't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was in high school like 30 years ago, drama was still there. And there were still mean girls, and there was still this idea that you had to conform to be part. But oh my goodness, I just feel this fakeness is so strong right now. So it kind of it sounded with me, you know, this fabrication, making something, but also that whole idea of things not being true. So I did take my orange Pitt pen and go around my quote blocks and my little alpha stickers there. And I also went back over them with my black or my gray watercolor pencil, just to kind of help them become part of the page. I didn't want to, I wanted them to stay white, but I did want them to have kind of a uniformity, or the look that they belong on the page. So I'm just going to kind of activate that pigment with my water brush, get it all blended out. And I'm nearing the end of this page, which, as simple as it was, I really like how it turned out. So I am going to tape my prompt card down. So Fabricate It is the prompt. Create a piece, a collage piece using fabric or papers. Well, I did that. I did attempt to use the color palette. I'm not sure I used the exact colors, but I had an orange, a yellow, and a pink. So I am just going to go ahead and tape this onto the back so that it is there. And I'm going to sign that bottom right-hand corner, just my name and the date. I don't think I put the day I did it. I just did the month. Sometimes these projects I work on over a couple of days, so that's okay. So here is my quote. I may not be perfect, but at least I'm not fake, and I try really hard for that. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I hope you enjoyed this art journal page. Check out the Mission Inspiration group on Facebook. It is super cool. I've added a couple of other videos here for you to watch, as well as a subscribe button. I would really love it if you subscribed to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Have a great day.